What is a classic monster? To me, it's a new type of monster, not just a one-off. For example, while I love the Phantom of the Opera and I love the Invisible Man, these aren't classics to me. They aren't even really monsters. They're just humans with unusual features. They're also one-offs. This is also true of beings like Freddy Krueger or Chucky from the Child's Play shows, or Jason. These are cool, but they're one of a kind. What I'm talking about for a classic is a type of monster that can show up in multiple places, that's not a lone freak. See what I mean? Think about Dracula. Sure, he's unusual, but really he's just a powerful vampire. There's other vampires. Even in the movie Dracula, he's not the only vampire that shows up. The Wolfman isn't alone either. He was bitten by another werewolf, so obviously there's more werewolves. And there's plenty of mummies showing up in mummy movies, right? The Gill-Man from Creature of the Black Lagoon is sometimes portrayed as the last of his kind. But even if that's true, being the last of his kind means there used to be more. Why am I harping on this? Because in 1972, a Spanish director, Armando de Osorio, decided to create a new monster type, a classic, if you will. That's pretty late, 1972. The most previously, like, what other classic monsters are made? Since the Creature of the Black Lagoon, I guess there's Night of the Living Dead. Anyway, Osorio's movie was Tombs of the Blind Dead. In this, he plays with the legend of the Knights Templars. Now, these were a real religious military order during the late Middle Ages, and it was almost completely wiped out near the end of the Middle Ages amidst claims of demon worship and other evils. I'm not going to go into the exact history of the Knights Templars here. This is about monster movies. In Armando Osorio's movies, the Knights Templars were blinded or something, and now they're blind undead who come to life to drink blood and murder people. Apparently not because they have to, but because they worship Satan or something. The soundtrack is amazing. There's creepy chanting noises. The Blind Dead themselves are terrifying. They're not just guys in makeup. They are skeletal with beards and eye sockets and bony hands. They wear filthy monk-like robes, and they move slowly like they're blind. Now, Armando made 4 different Blind Dead movies. And in each of these, the Blind Dead are found in a different place with somewhat different origin stories. I mean, they're always Templars, but they behave slightly differently. In one of them, they're coming back due to a curse. In another one, they just happen to live at their castle in the middle of nowhere. In another, they're haunting a ghost galleon in the middle of the ocean. In the last one, they're plaguing a village and by forcing the villagers to sacrifice to them every 7 years, making the villagers complicit in their evil. So I guess they can be anywhere there used to be Templars. They carry horrible rusty swords. They ride undead horses. They're kind of medieval knights. There's a great scene in the first movie where a guy pulls a switchblade on some Blind Dead. Then they pull out swords and it goes about as well as you might think for him. These movies also have the really interesting feature to me that the Blind Dead aren't typically defeated. They live in isolated areas like mini monsters in movies, but in the case of the Blind Dead, it's not because they're hiding from us. It's because people want to avoid them. In fact, it's pretty consistent in the movies. Whenever the Blind Dead are brought to the present day, instead of being easily overpowered by our modern wisdom, they wreak havoc. They run amok, killing dozens or hundreds of people. They are a real threat. I love this because I hate the trope that monsters have to lurk only in hidden, unexplored places where your cell phones don't work. What kind of puny monster is afraid of us? I much prefer this kind of movie in which our own defenses are helpless against the horrors of the films. That's why I actually hated the ending of the movie version of The Mist. Loved the story, loved the movie up to the end. The end was dumb, I thought. The Blind Dead fulfill this desire of mine in a big way. They are completely evil and almost totally unstoppable. Now, in the second film, Return of the Blind Dead, they kind of seem to be stopped at the end, but it seems to be just because they're at the end of their life cycle. Nothing killed them. They just died, their curse fulfilled. While they are blind, they're the blind dead, this doesn't seem to be much of a weakness. In one film, a girl is told to be quiet, so they can't find her, and she is. But then you start hearing this pounding noise. And it keeps getting louder and louder as the silent and blind dead draw closer. Eventually you realize that they're actually homing in on her heartbeat. They don't need to see you to kill you. In the first movie, The Tombs of the Blind Dead has the heroes checking out a woman's vanishing. There is kind of an obnoxious rape scene that I don't like, but at least the rapist is shown as not a good guy, and he gets his comeuppance pretty soon. In fact, he's the guy that pulls the switchblade on the knights. The second movie, Return of the Blind Dead, has a whole town menaced by them. Much of the movie has some people who are barricaded in the old church while the blind lurk outside, so it's kind of a zombie siege. But it has some different features, like the blind dead are intelligent, unlike zombies. Also, some of the people inside the church are like really super bad people, like the kind of people who would use a little girl for bait to distract the blind dead. The third movie, The Ghost Galleon, it's usually regarded as the worst of the blind dead movies. I love it because it has a ghost ship, and I'm always a sucker for a ghost ship. I'll also add in passing that the Japanese film Matango has a crackerjack of a ghost ship, so check it out too. This last film, Night of the Seagulls, breaks the rules for most sequels. In fact, it's the best of the lot. Maybe even better than the first one. In this film, a doctor and his wife move to a small Spanish town with a dark secret. Namely, that every 7 years they have to tie women to stakes in the surf so that the undead blind dead can come out and kill them in a ritual blood-drinking sacrifice. In this way, the knights have forced the people of the town to, in effect, be evil like they are. The people of the town don't want to hurt the doctor. They're thrilled to have a doctor, but they view his wife as a possible victim. After all, if she's eaten by the blind dead, one of their own daughters or sisters won't get eaten, so the townspeople take her for a sacrifice. Another part of the film I found great is when the doctor tries to thwart the townsfolk's plan. They don't try to kill him. They don't try to strike back. Instead, they immediately pack up and abandon the town, leaving forever. The doctor realizes that because he stopped the sacrifice, he has literally destroyed the town, because no one can stay in town with the blind dead who are now unleashed with their bloodlust unsated. It's surprisingly deep for a blood-drinking undead monster movie. Great stuff. You can get all 4 of the Blind Dead movies nowadays. I really like these films, and I recommend them wholeheartedly. I've looked up others of Armand de Osorio's movies, and these are clearly his best work. His others are actually kind of lame, although his film The Sea Serpent is hilariously bad. You might want to watch it just for the giggles.